In the latest Azure Data Engineering interviews, system design questions in Azure Data Factory is the new focused area where you will be given a problem and you need to build the design plus the solution for the same. So this 3-hour long video will give you strong hands-on with real-time scenarios where you need to build the design and the architecture of the solution and actually build the solution as well, but considering the best practices. If you want to succeed in the Azure Data Engineering interviews in 2025, then this video is specially made for you. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So what's up, Meta fam? Happy Sunday. First of all, how are you all? How are you all? I hope your Sunday is going really well, and now you will get another reason so that you can say, hey, yeah, our Sunday is going really well. So today's video is very special. Why? Because obviously we're going to discuss the most popular technology in the world of Azure Data Engineering. It's Azure Data Factory, and this time we are discussing real-time scenarios. That's fine, but because there are already so many resources which have discussed the real-time scenarios, but this video is unique. Why? Because the thing is, if you are sitting in the Azure Data Engineering interviews, okay, in the round one, you can expect those like normal real-time scenarios that you have watched so far, like what you will do to achieve this result, which activity will be used to achieve this result, which mapping data flow will be used to achieve this result, and so on. That is fine for technical round one. Okay, the moment you reach to the technical round two, you cannot expect those basic questions which can be answered in just like few minutes. No, technical round two nowadays, because now the competency level is really high. Okay, nowadays, now what interviewer will ask you? Interviewer will definitely test your Azure Data Factory technical skills, plus interviewer will definitely test your design skills as well. You can call it as high level design, you can call it as system design in Azure Data Factory. The interviewer will test that as well, because now they need to hire someone who can just build the solution plus who can design the solutions as well. They do not want to just spend extra money to hire a designer. Okay, because nowadays it's very easy to implement the things. Okay, because competency level is already high, they know how to build this, but the person who knows the design as well will be acted as an outlier. That is why in this particular video I'm going to talk about obviously real-time scenarios, but from the design perspective as well. So I will just tell you how you can just think about the design, how you can just build the design after receiving some kind of, you can say, requirements. If you are sitting in an interview, if you have watched this video, you will definitely be able to think about the design, and you can simply say, hey, I can just I can just do this. Okay, and this is the design. And if interviewer asks you for the question, hey, just show me how you will build this, so this video will be acting as a cherry on the cake. Why? Because in this video I will just show you how to actually build that design solution as well. So it's like end-to-end video for your interview round 2, especially for Azure Data Factory, in which they can ask you anything regarding Azure Data Factory activities and all, plus design. So in this particular video, we will just take the requirements, we will just take the real-time scenarios, plus we're going to discuss the design, like how we can just build, how we can just think. Then we will just build everything from scratch. Okay, got it? Excited for today's video? Now I know your question. Hey Ansh Lamba, what do we need to know before watching this video? So just basic understanding of Azure Data Factory, that's it. And I've already made like full course on Azure Data Factory. If you haven't watched that, you can definitely watch that. And if you have already watched that video, then this video is like made for you, bro. Made for you. And even if you know a little bit about Azure Data Factory, you will be able to just um, watch this video and obviously able to understand a lot of stuff. And yeah, that's all I can say. So no prerequisite, just your laptop and your enthusiasm to learn Azure Data Factory. That's it. That's it. Okay. So in this video, obviously we'll be creating a free Azure account. Okay. So if you already have one, It's very good. So if you do not have one, we're gonna create our free Azure portal account. And if you haven't subscribed the channel, just hit the subscribe button right now, because you will be totally engaged in the video, and obviously you'll be just focusing on the Azure Data Factory solutions, and trust me, you're gonna love this video, trust me. So just hit the subscribe button right now and let's get started. So in order to create your first, or let's say any new Azure portal account, you simply need to type Azure free account on the Google tab. Just search and hit enter, and you can just simply click on the very first link. And then you have two options. Basically, you will need to pick try Azure for free instead of pay as you go. Simply click on it. It will simply, I think, ask for the sign up. So here's the thing. Now you need to put any Microsoft account if you have. It can be your Outlook account. It can be your any Microsoft account. If you do not have one, or if you are not sure if you have one, simply click on this create one, and you can create a new Microsoft account. Okay. Once you have that account, simply put that account email ID here. Simple. Then it will simply show you a kind of web form that you need to fill, including your details, including your name, address, phone number, everything. Then you just need to click on the sign up button, which will be at the bottom of the page. The moment you click on the sign up button, it's all done. It will simply ask you for your card details and your, I think, credit or debit card. You can just put any card. It is just for the verification, because Azure provides free $200 credits, and it needs to verify, okay, this is you who will be using that particular amount. And the question is, that amount can be used like for how many days? Just for 30 days. And I think it should be enough to complete this video. Second thing, what will happen after 30 days? Nothing will be happened. Okay, so the thing is, once your 30-day trial period is over, it will simply nullify your services and you will not be charged. So now the question is, even if you like still want to use Azure, okay, and your free trial is over, and you are like much eager to learn more in Azure, so you can just go with pay as you go, and it will just charge you on the basis of the services that you'll be using. It's totally up to you. But yeah, these are like all the options that you can just select. Okay, okay. So once your portal account is ready, it's time to actually go to the Azure portal. And how we can just go there? Simple steps. Simply you need to type here portal.azure.com. See, you simply need to type this portal.azure.com. Simply hit enter, and then obviously again it will just ask you to sign up. Now here you just need to put your email ID that you have just created and that you have just signed up using that particular form. That's it. The moment you put your email ID here, you will be landing on the Azure portal, and let me show you how does it look like. Okay, so this is your Azure portal, and if this is your first time coming here, don't worry, let me just give you a quick overview. By the way, it is not required much because we are just focusing on Azure Data Factory, but still. So this is your portal. Okay, and don't worry if you see the stuff different in your case, because these are some of the services that we use recently. Okay, and this is the main tab in which we can see like all resources, resource groups, and blah blah, all the popular services. Nothing special. Let me just give you the related information, because these these this thing is important, because now obviously we are just trying to work with Azure Data Factory. We will also be creating data lake, because obviously we need a storage solution. So every resource that we create within Azure network, okay, we have to put that resource in a resource group. That is the mandatory thing. We cannot create a resource in Azure without resource group. Okay, so first of all, we need to create resource group. Resource group is basically just a folder which holds your services or your resources. And what is a resource? All are the resources, such as Azure Data Factory is a resource, Data Lake is a resource. So all these are resources. Okay, simply click on resource groups, and obviously you will see all the resource groups. Okay, and then what I can do, I can simply go to create a resource tab, or I can simply search here, because obviously in your case maybe you will not see it here. Simply search resource group. So here it is. Simply click on it and click on create, and click on create new. That's it. You can just name it anything. I will simply name it as ADF real time. Yeah, perfect. Then simply click on review plus create and click on create. That's it. So as you can see, our resource group is created. Okay. So what we can do now, we can simply go to this resource group, and how you can just go there. Either you can simply search it, or I will simply type my resource group name. It will simply say ADF real time. Perfect. So now this is my resource group and it is empty, obviously, because we have not created anything. So let's try to create some resources. And what are the resources in this particular scenario? Obviously, the most popular resource is Data Factory. We need to create that. Along with that, we also need to create a data lake, okay, because we'll be just processing data and we need a storage solution. So I'll simply click on plus create, and I will simply say Data Factory. Okay, so this is my resource. I can simply click on it and click on create. So now I need to name it. Okay, so what name I can give? I can name it anything, and obviously it should be unique. So you cannot pick my name. Yeah, it should be unique throughout the Azure network. So I'll simply say ADF real-time workspace. Make sense? Okay, just click on review plus create, and that's it. Click on create. So your Azure Data Factory resource group is created, and it is deployed as well. Very good. So now you can simply go to resource, and this is our Azure Data Factory. Simply click on refresh, and it will be appearing here in just a few seconds. See, so this is my resource in my resource group. Now click on create for one more time, because now we need to create data lake. Okay, so in order to create data lake, simply search storage account, and this is the one by Microsoft. So simply pick it and click on create. Then then you just need to simply pick the storage account name. So again, this should be unique as well. You cannot pick my name, the name that I'm going to pick here. Okay, I'll simply say storage account name, let's say ADF real time storage, if it is available. Oh, we cannot use hyphen. So if it is available, oh, surprising, it is available. So if it is not available, you can simply use your name after this as a suffix, not a big deal. So now primary service, keep it as it is. Redundancy, just pick LRS, click on next, and this is important. Simply choose enable hierarchical namespace, because only then it will create a data lake for us. Otherwise it will simply create a blob storage. That's we do not want. Okay, simply click on review plus create and that's it. Click on create, and it will be deployed in I think few seconds. So basically, if you do not click on that particular box, so then you will see some errors, obviously, because then that will not be acting as a data lake. It will be acting as just a blob storage. Data lake is built on top of your blob storage. Okay, so see, it is already deployed. So now what we need to do, we simply need to go to resource group. Okay, go here, simply search your resource group. So this is my resource group. So now I will simply prepare my data lake. First of all, I will prepare my data lake. I will simply click on it and click on containers. If you do not see it here, it must be collapsed. So simply click on it, you will see it. Okay, click on the containers. This is empty, right? Everything is empty. Now we will be creating containers. Why? Because see, we need to move data from one place to another. That is the primary role of a data factory. Okay, so we will be creating few folders, or let's say few containers, which will be acting as our source, and one container which will be acting as our sink. And you will see the same scenario in your interviews as well, where interviewer will say, hey, this is your source container, this is your destination container. Just do it everything. Okay. So now let's create container which is called source. Simply click on create and then click on destination. Okay, perfect. So obviously we need source and we need destination. Now we have both. Okay, so now let me just also tell you, because we'll be using some data, so how you can also use that data. So the data is uploaded on my GitHub repository. Let me show you. So this is the repository and you can see some of the files are uploaded for you. We'll be using these files and new files will also be uploaded here if we just use more and more files. Okay, so for now these are the three files: gold demand tons yearly, gold reserves, and gold demand sector. I know that's a hot topic. Everyone loves gold, right? I don't. I don't know, but I don't. Okay, so this is all about your data that we're gonna use. So let's upload some data in our data lake. Okay, let me just go to the sink and let me just create a directory. Directory is basically just a folder. Okay, let me just create a folder and I will simply say raw gold data. Make sense? Okay, let me just create that and I will simply upload the data one by one. And you also need to do that. Why? Because it is directly linked to our scenario. And without delaying, I should also show you the first scenario, because only then we will be just beginning with the implementation. Okay, so what's the scenario? So the scenario is, this is our scenario one. Okay, it is blank. Let me just explain, because obviously in interview round two, it is not like you will just read the statement and it's done. No, you need to understand the scenario and you need to understand the whole thing that you need to perform. Then only you can just build something. Okay, so the scenario is, if I just want to name it, it is related to your incremental loading, but you need to understand what exactly you need to do, because incremental loading is a wide concept. But within incremental loading, what you need to do? By the way, why did I pick this one? Because obviously in the real world you cannot expect any solution without incremental loading. 99.99% solutions use incremental loading because you do not need to load the whole data again and again. Okay, so now that is why I have included this as my first scenario, and the scenario is very simple. You have a source. Okay, you have a source. Okay, and you have a destination. Okay, now you have here three files: 1, 2, and 3. Okay, okay, let me just remove the third file for now. I have just two files. Okay, very good. So what I want to do, we will assume something because it's a scenario. So I'm just putting you in a scenario. This file, the first file is already here. Now you as a data engineer need to incrementally load the data. You will say, hey, this is very simple. We can just simply incrementally load the data. No. Traditionally, incremental loading concept is more familiar with the SQL environment, where you can just apply where condition, like your data should be greater than this date. But this time it is not a SQL source. The source is only and only files. Yes, CSV files. How you will just apply where condition on top of it using Azure Data Factory? Just tell me how. Obviously it is not possible, right? So what we need to do? We need to incrementally load the file instead of incrementally load the data. So you need to just incrementally load this particular file and you need to put this file here, and you should not reload this data because it is already here. How you will just do it? Just design the solution. So to tackle this, we're gonna just build something in Azure Data Factory, and don't worry, I will just tell you everything. Don't need to worry. Okay. So the thing is, let me just give you one more iteration of this particular architecture. So let's say after building the solution, yesterday to tomorrow, you receive one more file. So what should happen? Common sense, right? Only this file should go here. That's it, right? Are you excited to build the solution? And don't worry, as I just mentioned, I will just also discuss the architecture also as well. Okay, design as well. So let me just go to my Azure Data Factory. Okay, let me just upload two files. So we have here three files. One is demand and second one is tons. So first of all, I will just upload these two files, sector and like demand sector and reserve tons. Make sense? And you do not need to upload the files like parallelly. No, you need to just upload the files one after another, because then only there will be a difference between the timestamp, right? Okay, so let me just quickly upload the data one by one. Again, I'm repeating one by one, because only then you will see the difference in the timestamp. Okay, makes sense? Makes sense? One by one. You will first click on upload one file, click on done, then wait for a few seconds, then you will just upload the second file. Got it? Let me just upload it. You can also upload it. You can just download the files from GitHub and it should just work fine. Okay. So as you can see that I have uploaded both the files, and obviously one by one. One is this at 216 and the second one is at 217. And don't mind, I know like my voice is a little low today because not well today. So, but show must go on, right? Yeah, show must go on. So sorry for that. So I know a little bit low today. So just wanted to inform this. So first of all, now we have the files, right? We have the files. So now what we need to do, we need to pick only and only this file. Why? Because this is the latest file, and as per our scenario, we just want to copy the latest file. Okay, so now I will quickly go to my resource group. Let me just open that ADF Studio. So here is our Azure Data Factory. So if this is your first time coming on the Azure Data Factory portal, so we have talked about this so many times and nothing special, because this is just the home tab and this is the author tab. You do not need to worry at all, because we will be discussing about this tab in detail, because this whole video is dedicated on this one, because this author tab is basically for building pipelines, right? Then we have a cool feature called monitor, where you can just monitor all of your pipelines that you have. Okay, so let me just click on it. You will see all the pipelines that we have so far. Obviously we do not have any pipeline, so that is why it is not showing anything. Once we make some pipelines, I will just show you later on. Okay, then this is manage tab. This is very important, because this is a kind of manager, your personal manager for your Azure Data Factory. I know like you are working under one manager, but you also have your personal manager. Okay, seriously, I'm not kidding. This is really handy whenever you want to just use anything, whenever you just want to, let's say, manage your link services, connections, data sets, triggers, everything. And we will be using this area before creating our pipelines. Why? Because as you know that we are just migrating the data, right? So we need connection. Let me just tell you, let's say this is your data factory. Okay, and this is your source. This is your source. Okay, this is your destination. Oops. Okay, now obviously you are moving this data from the source. Let's say this is your data, and you are moving this data to here, to destination. So this is a data lake. This is a data lake, and obviously source and destination can be anything. You need to tell data factory, hey bro, we know that we want to use data lake, but which data lake? which storage account, which container. So we need to just tell all these things, and obviously in short we need to create a connection. Okay, so obviously I know like you all know these things, I'm just brushing up your like basic skills. Obviously we should just quickly do all these things, but just wanted to highlight this. Okay, so let's quickly create a link service. Okay, so link service, obviously it will be with our Azure Data Lake storage gen 2, not with this one. I know this Azure will not change the logo, okay, before 2030. So let me just pick this one and then click on continue. Okay, then I will simply name it, and I can just give a name like any name, and I will simply say, let's say ls data lake. Okay, why? Because ls is for link service and data lake is our type of source, type of destination. Okay, good. Now we just need to pick subscription. We just have one subscription. Then storage account name. Storage account name I need to find. I think it was called as what was the name? I think this one, ADF real time storage. Yeah. So I will simply click on test connection. Okay, perfect. Our connection is successful, and it is a good practice to always test your connection, because otherwise you will see failures in your pipelines. So simply click on create. Done. Our connection is done. Very good. Now let's go to the author tab, and now obviously we do not have any pipeline. Okay, so simply click on new pipeline. Okay, so this is the canvas. Okay, and obviously it is not updated. It is not updated. That doesn't mean it is outdated. We do not have much changes in UI. It is pretty much simple. So that is why there's no need of telling each and everything regarding ADF. Okay, makes sense. I will simply name it as, you can say, incremental load. Very good. Incremental load. So first of all, first of all, let me just tell you the high level design as well, and you will actually understand why we're gonna do all those things. Okay. So first activity we need to bring is copy activity. Why? Because obviously we need to migrate the data from one place to another. Sorted. For that, I would need source dataset and I would need sync dataset. Make sense? So let's create a parameterized dataset. Why? So that we can actually reuse it every time. Okay. Sorted. Very good. So I will simply say my data is in data lake storage gen 2. Click on continue. Data is in CSV format. Then dataset name, I will simply say dataset param. It's not param, it's param. Okay. Then link service, we already have one. Very good. Now here is the thing, we need to specify container name, folder name, and file name, right? Okay, container name, folder name, and file name. Okay, makes sense. So what we gonna do, let me just take you to the data lake. If you just observe our data lake, so we have two containers, so we can parameterize actually the containers, right? Very good. Go to source, and then we have a folder. Okay, makes sense. Yep. Okay, then within the source we have the files. Obviously we do not need to go inside the files. Why? Because the answer is simple, bro. We do not need to actually worry about the files, right? Because we'll be just fetching each file dynamically on the folder level. Sounds good? Okay, very good. So then what we need to do, we need to just create a parameterized dataset which will actually be here till here, like till raw gold data. Okay, and obviously we do not need to go inside the file name. So what I will do, I will simply click on advanced. Okay, and I can simply name it as folder level. So that means we will not be creating a parameter for file, we will only create the parameter for only and only folder till folder level. Okay, that is a very good practice, because obviously when we will be just working with the further scenarios, we need to create data sets which will go till the file level as well, obviously, right? So now we will simply say ds param folder level. That's it. Click on open this data set, and here obviously this is our page where we can just actually edit our parameters or actually edit our data sets. Click on parameters, create a new parameter. I will simply say p container. Okay, then another one, p folder. That's it. Then click on connection. Okay, then click on add dynamic content. So here what we will do, we will provide the parameter instead of a hard coded value. Okay, very good. Click on container. Oops. Click OK. For directory, click on folder. Very good. That's it. That's it. The moment you will come here, it will simply ask you for these values, p container, and it should also ask me for p folder as well, by the way. And yeah, so now it is only asking me for p container. Why? Because it should ask me for p this as well. Let me just click on publish all. Oops, we cannot publish because obviously we do not have sync activity. So why it is not asking me for this? Dataset.p folder. Okay, it's fine. Okay, let's see. So here it is done. So this was just a bug. So what I did, I simply click on clear and simply I reselected it, because obviously we should just see two boxes for two parameters. So now we have the leverage to put the values here dynamically, right? Because the same data set I'm gonna use on the sync side as well, as you can see. And again, container and folder level is empty. Makes sense. By the way, on the folder side, like on the folder side, we can actually create one more parameter which will actually take the values till the file level, because we need to just go till the file level. Okay, but that's not important because I'm going to show you something else as well before building the whole design. So what we're going to do, obviously we'll simply say source. Okay, because this is our source container, and this folder name is row gold data. I will simply paste it here, and if I just go to destination, we have nothing. So I will simply call it as destination. Okay, and I can simply say the same thing, row gold data. Simple. Then what we're going to do, if you just closely observe in the copy copy data activity, we have something called as filter by last modified, start time and end time. Whoa. So now I'm just going to talk about the high level design. What we actually need to achieve, we need to fill this start time in such a way so that only this file will be coming, only this file, that's it. Okay, because if I just put time, let's say 31st of March 2025, 2:16, or let's say I let's say 2 p.m. I put 2 p.m. So what will happen, it will just copy both the files, but I want to take only the latest file, that is this one, that is 2:17:07 p.m. blah blah. Okay, so this is the high level design. We need to design something, we need to build our architecture in such a way so that every time in this copy activity, we need to provide the maximum time of this whole folder of that particular file, which will be having the maximum modified time. This is the high level design that you should have in your mind before actually building anything. So how we can just do that? Very good. So for that, let me just show you. If I just put any time, let's say I put 31st of March, time is 2:00, and I just say, oh, let's say PM. If I just put this time and if I just click on debug, what will happen? is a folder wildcard. Folder is a folder. File path, the file. Oh, okay. So go to source, and obviously we have just given the path till folder level. Simply pick wildcard file path and simply say asterisk dot CSV. What it will do, it will simply pick all the CSV files within that. Okay. Click on debug now, and this will simply copy the all the files instead of copying the latest one. Okay. Let me just show you quickly. And meanwhile you can just build something in your mind, and you should have some idea right now like how you can just do that. And one copy data activity is done. Okay, so let me show you the result. If I just go to destination, here is my folder and here are my both the files. See, let me just delete this, like both the files. Okay, now if I just put here time, such as let's say 2:17 p.m., what will happen? What will happen? Your answer should say 2:17. Okay, nothing will happen. Why? Because we have file till, oh yeah, we have 2:17. So what will happen at 2:17? Only this file will be copied. Only this file. Let me just refresh it. Perfect. So if you just go to destination, oops, I see. So the thing is, when we work with Azure resources, it works with a different time frame. It's called UTC, and my time frame is like UTC -4, so that is why it has just picked all like both the files. But that's not a big deal because we do not need to manually put the time. We need to dynamically put the time. And let me just share you the design. Let me just first deactivate this copy activity. Okay, because we need to perform some things first. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to first of all create a get metadata activity on top of the folder. Why? Because we need to get the all the files first. Okay, then we will pass that particular array to a loop which will fetch the each file. Why? Because we need to again perform get metadata activity, and that particular get metadata activity will get the last modified date. Because obviously it is very obvious now that you just need to fetch the last modified date. That's it. That's it. Because that you need to compare, right? Exactly. And whatever the date will be maximum, you just need to put that date in the copy activity. That's it. That's it. Okay. So now let's do that. And for that, I will make some changes in my data set. I will simply say click on open. And here I will simply create one more parameter because we just need to go to the file level now. Okay. Just say p file. That's it. And in the copy activity, it should just ask me the file, but we will just provide the file name. Don't worry. Because we do not need to actually worry about those things because we just need to perform the copy activity on the file whichever is greater than, let's say, this particular date. That's it. And in order to just see that, let me just show you what time it returns to us. So I'll simply bring the get metadata activity. Okay, put it here, and this time click on settings. It is asking me for the data set. I will simply pick that one. Source and folder will be, let's say, raw. Can you copy? Yeah. And file will be, let's say, this one. Let's say. Okay. So I want to get the time. Okay. I want to get the time. Okay. Now what I will do, click on field list and click on last modified. So this time it will simply bring the last modified date of this file. Let me just click on debug, and you will see the actual value of the UTC time that we can just put and actually show you like, hey, this is the thing. See, let me just click on the output. So as you can see, the time frame is 15:33. Okay, and in my case it was like 2 something, that is 14. So that is why it was showing wrong timing. Okay, so this is the last modified date. This is the one. So if this is the last modified date, So actually the file was modified at 238, okay, at 230 source 217, okay, but here I can see that it was last modified at 333, and again it is the difference between the UTC and here, that's why you see this thing. So basically we need to fetch the get metadata, basically the last modified date or last modified time of each file, each file, simple, so that we can actually compare that particular value with other values, okay. And what was the output of it? Output of it is last modified, that's it, okay. So what we're gonna do, we will simply click on delete and we will simply go to our dataset for one more time, because we will simply say, hey, just delete this parameter, because we're gonna use parameterized till folder level. Let's bring the get metadata activity for one more time, and this time we need to simply pick folder level and obviously source, and this folder level, it's called raw gold data. Okay, so what it will do, it will simply return me the metadata of the whole folder, and I want to return the child items. Simply click on child items, because first of all I want to retrieve all the files, only then I can see it's last modified. Common sense, okay. So let me just click on debug and I should see all the array, all the array, okay. So it should just return the array that I want, and obviously in the array we should have just two files, okay, their file name and yeah, just file name, that's it, that's it. See, so child items, first file, second file, that's what you want, that's what we want, right? So now what we will do, we will simply bring the for each activity, perfect, and we will connect this activity with this one, and here what we need to do, we will simply say, hey, what should be the array of this for each? It should be this one, items get metadata dot output dot child items, okay. Now click on this, you can either say sequential, I don't want to keep it sequential because it's fine, or let's say sequential, because it will just go one by one and it will not create any kind of confusion between comparing the files. So let's pick sequential, okay. Now click on this expand button, click on pencil, you will actually enter the for each activity. So here we will one more time pick get metadata. Why? Because earlier we fetched the get metadata on folder, but now we need to get the metadata of each file, because only then we can just get the last modified of each file, simple. So for that we need to create a new data set, and I will simply say blob storage and 2 CSV, I will simply say ds file level, okay. Link sub is same obviously, and this time what you can do, you can simply create parameters. I would say it is better because it is obviously a good practice in the real world as well, where you just create the parameters, okay. But this time we will create three parameters because we need to pick the file name as well, okay. Simply say p container and p folder and then p file, okay. Perfect. And this time we need to fetch the folder name and container name and file name. Container and folder name is fixed, it is source, and folder name is this. File name will be changing, file name will be changing. So I will simply click on this add dynamic content, and what will be the file name? The loop value, make sense? The loop value item dot file name, file name or name, let me just check. I think it was just name, but still let me just check. Let me just click on this, let me just click on the output, name, that's it, just name. So what we will do, we will simply provide the name, because we want to fetch the get metadata or metadata of each file, okay, that is coming through the loop, perfect. So this way we need to pick field list equals to this time. What we need to pick? We need to pick last modified, but this is saying that I will simply pick argument and last modified. Just pick last modified. Why I'm not able to pick? Yeah. So this will simply give the last modified of this particular container, this particular folder, and this particular file as well. Last modified of the file. Last modified of the file. Okay. So now what we need to do? Now we have the last modified of the file, right? Simple. And we have already tested it out as well. What was the value? It's called last modified. Okay. So the output of this will be the last modified. Now we need to save the value, this last modified value, in a variable so that we can actually compare. Make sense? We need to compare this value, right? Very good. So in order to do that, what we need to do, simply go to variables, click one variable and simply say temporary max value. Okay. And you can simply keep it as, let's say, of string type, I would say. Yeah, just simply pick it as maybe string because we do not have any date, or we can simply pick parameter because in parameter we have date. Oh no. So simply delete this, simply go to variable. So simply pick it as string because we will just simply convert it using the expression builder. So it is fine. Okay. So for now we have this variable and we need to provide a default value. What will be the default value? Just tell me this thing. Because we need to fetch the value. So basically we need to go inside this loop. Okay. So here we have get metadata activity, and what we need to do, we will simply apply an if condition here. And in this if condition, we will simply say if this value is greater than my variable that I am just defining right now, then just replace that value, or let's say we can create one more variable here. See this one, this max value. So what will happen if that get metadata value is greater than this one? I will just provide the default value, don't worry. Then my max value will be new one. New one, which one? Get metadata one, because by default it will simply take this value. And let me just tell you what will be this value, because you will feel confused. Hey, what should be the value? Wait. So for that, let me just create a new pipeline. Why? I will just tell you. Because you need to see that value. So I will simply say get metadata. Okay. And I will simply say file level and source this folder, and file name will be, let's say, this one. Okay. So here I want to find last modified date. Okay. So now I will simply create one variable, let's say v temp. Okay. And now I will simply use a activity called SetVariable. Then you just need to connect it, and this SetVariable will be this variable. Now what will be the value? The value will be format. There's a function called format date time. And what is the value in string format? It is get metadata dot output dot last modified. Make sense? Make sense? Okay. And by the way, there are like so many formats that we can use, such as, let's say, you can also pick dd in dd, or let's say yyyy dd ss. So let's click on OK. Let's debug. If that that format is fine, because there are like so many formats, we can just simply check the documentation for formats, not a big deal. So you will actually feel what we are trying to do. We are just trying to convert that particular string into date, and we will simply provide very less date, let's say 200101, So by default, it should just pick all the files. And if any file is greater than that one, then it should just pick, let's say, your GetMetadata file last modified from that particular date. So it failed, by the way. Why? So it is saying that file system cannot be null. What is not null? What is null? Last modified is fine. Okay, let me just redefine it because I want last modified. User property is fine, journal fine. Let me just reread the message. So reference name ds file level. Okay. Source, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Output is this one. Okay, and message, let me just expand it. So it is saying that file system cannot be null. I think I know the error. So if you just closely observe what is the error, and if you have ever used get metadata activity before, so if I just click on this, let's say, let me just delete this, let me just click on plus new. The option that I'm getting is same as that I'm getting in the folder level as well. Child items, exist, item name, last modified, that's it. That means it is not treating it as a file, it is treating it as a folder level. Why? So just go to your dataset, click on open, and go to parameters. So these parameters are fine. Obviously we can just provide default value, or we can remove it as well. So it's not a big deal. But the thing is, when you just go to connection, you need to provide these parameters as well. So we forgot to put these parameters here because only then it will treat, hey, this. So what is happening right now, we are providing these parameters here, but these parameters are not filled here. See, these parameters are actually not filled here. Where is our file level? Yeah, these parameters are not filled here, so they don't know where we need to just send these parameters. We'll simply say file path should be p container, directory should be p folder, okay, and p file should be this one. So now these parameters that we are feeding here, these parameters are actually going to the right location. Earlier we were just providing the parameters and they were going nowhere. But now let me just click on delete and let me just click on plus new. So you will see, hey, now we have much more things. See, column count, exist, everything. So click on last modified. This is the thing that we need. Okay, and let me just click on debug one more time. So now get metadata is fixed, and now we just need to convert this format date time into this particular one, and we can simply apply greater than. I think it should also like show some error because this is converting into date time. We can also put string, but that's not a big deal. I just want to show you what will be the output. So it is successful. Let me show you the value. So the value is this one. See, 2025 033 03 basically, then 31 10 17. 17 means 5, but here it's just I think 3, but it works with UTC, right? So this is the value. This is the value. So now it's up to you how you want to just define the value, right? So this can be your default value, or what can be your default value? Your default value can be, let's say, 2000, like 2000. So if you just put 2000, that means by default it will pick all the files, right? And this should be your condition as well, because in all the solutions you should have the privilege to provide both the solutions if they want to just incrementally load the files, or they just want to bulk load the files for initial run, right? So this can be very handy, and you can obviously play with it. If you just remove this format date time function, you will see the actual value it returns. Okay, see, let me just put at the rate. So you can simply say at the rate, and if you just run this, you will actually get the value, default value. And these things you should know before sitting in the interviews, because they can just ask you to create the solution. And obviously in that particular scenario, you cannot actually refer the documentation. So you should know all these things, that hey, our date will be of this format, and we can actually convert it using format datetime function, and we can just use a format called YYY MMDD HHMMSS. These are the things that you should learn as well, and you should just absorb with the time. Okay, so now this is the original format. See, 2025, and it uses something called as Z as well. So this is a default time that you should know that okay, this exists. So now I hope that you have understood what is the concept right now. So what we want to do, we will simply go here to the incremental load pipeline. Okay, and we will simply go inside this, and here in the if condition, because we know that the output of this particular activity will be of that format of Z. Okay, and now what we need to do, first of all, we'll just provide the default value to our variable. So this is the default value. I will simply say 2000, that means 2000. Make sense? Make sense? Like 2000. Okay, 2000. Because obviously we can just use this value to feed in our copy activity as well. Not a big deal. Okay, so this is the value. I will simply put this value here as well. So what we'll do now, I think you will understand the whole concept. So now what we need to do, we will simply say, hey, if the output of last modified of my file is greater than this value, then just replace this value with my last modified value of that file. If not, just keep it as it is. Just keep it as it is. Okay, okay. And in this particular scenario, actually we do not need like two parameters, but yeah, I just wanted to tell you because we will just change this variable first, and we will compare all the files, and at the end we will just change this variable. Okay, and now I hope you know that what we need to do. Our end goal is to feed this copy activity, and we need to just put here variable instead of this time. Make sense? So I will simply say add dynamic content, and I will simply put variable, and this will be my variable name. Perfect. So now our end goal of this pipeline is to feed this variable dynamically, and this variable should be the max value. Should be the max value. Perfect. So now let's apply that basic of condition, and let me just tell you 90% of the work is done because you have understood the concept. And let me just control X and go inside this and connect this and go inside this as well, inside true. Okay, let me just activate it. Go to general, activated, and in the source we already know that this is a container folder, and start date is this one. Really? Yeah, start date is this one. Or you can simply say control X, go outside the loop, and you can even paste it here as well outside this if condition, or let's say even outside this for loop as well. Why? Because obviously you just need to provide the variable name here. That's it. See, that's it. So your 90% of the work is done. So now we just need to go inside this, and we just need to say if condition. Hey, what is the condition? If at the rate if. So now we just need to fill if, or let's say at the rate greater because we can use if condition, but I would say greater function is better. Greater. Now we need to say, hey, which one is greater? Which one is greater? So in the greater function, we need to first put the smaller, or I think bigger function. No, the value that we need to just compare. So we will simply say greater, and here we will just put our value of variable. I will simply say system variables, or let's say variables. Variable is temporary max value. If this is greater than my get metadata, this one, get metadata 2. Okay, so I'll simply say that is removed. Oh man. So at the rate greater. Okay, here I will just put my variable temporary max value, and here I will simply say activity outputs and get metadata 2 dot outputs. Where is that? Oh man, this is such a mess. Greater, and then we will simply need to say variables temporary max value, and here we need to say get metadata 2, this one. Okay, And after outward, we need to just say last modified. This is important. This is important. Now that's it. If it is true, if it is true, that means if my get metadata to activity is greater than this one, then we will simply provide this variable. We will simply replace the value of this variable with this one. That's it. Otherwise, we will not do anything. Okay. And obviously, we need to just perform format date time. And it's up to us if we just want to perform format date time. But I don't think so. We should just perform because we can just perform because format date time it will simply convert that into a number. So we'll simply say format date time. Like it's a good practice. It's not compulsory, but yeah, format and date time, format date time. Okay. And let me just say format date time this, and what should be the format, and format should be your YYYY MMDD HHMMSS. Just make sure your case sensitivity as well, because it is really important. Same thing here, format date time. Okay. And date time format will be YYY MMDD, oops, capital M, then HHMMSS. Okay. Simple, simple, simple. And why it is throwing red mark here? Incomplete function invocation. Format date time, this and this. Okay. Format date time, this is done. Okay. One more braces should be here. Perfect. So now if it is true, what we need to do, if it is true, just go inside this and click on this true pencil. If it is true, then we'll simply say set variable and set my temporary max value. And what will be the value? The value will be get metadata to dot last modified, right? That's what you want to do, right? Perfect. So I hope you understood this solution. I know it is complex, that's why I have captured this particular scenario, and I know if you haven't understood everything, just rewatch this part again and again. And that is why these are the scenarios coming in the interviews right now, because these are complex, right? These are complex. This test your design technical skills, everything. Okay. So now we are all good to test our solution. So let me just one more time quickly tell you what we are just doing. So here we are just getting the metadata of all the files, like all the file names. Then we are just feeding that particular value in the loop. Then we are just going inside this and fetching the metadata of each file. Then we are comparing that value with our variable value, in which we have just provided any random value 2000 0101, something like that. If my format date time variable, this one, this value is, or let's say, by the way, this is very confusing, like which should be bigger and smaller, we can just check in the documentation as well, because it's just a matter of hit and trial. So if this value is greater than this one, so first value is always shorter, I guess, and second value is bigger. I'm not sure, I'm 99% sure, but 1% can be the error. I can just simply check. So if this is true, then just replace my set variable activity, or let's say set variable, with the get metadata to. Make sense? And then let's say second time, when the second file will come, it will simply check the time, which is 217, and it will simply say, hey, you are 216, I am bigger, so I will simply provide you 217 now. So this is the time that I will be getting. And at the end, when everything is done, what we need to do, we will simply go here in the copy activity, and we will simply say, hey, just use this variable. Which one? Max value. And we can just set this value as well, which we haven't set it right now. So we will simply say set variable for one more time, because we are just setting the max value. And in this one, we will simply say settings, max value. And what will the value? The value will be this one, temporary max value, because temporary max value will be keep on changing, but our max value will be fixed. So by the way, again, this is a design thing. It gives you more control over your pipeline if you just want to go and just check the values. Otherwise, you can simply provide here that temporary max value as well. It will work. Okay. Again, design skills. So you need to just see all these things. Okay, I'm just making the pipeline more feasible and all, right? So now let's see if we are able to do this. And by the way, I will simply just say at the rate greater in expression builder ADF. Let's see if we get anything. What was the thing? Greater. Let me just search greater. Check whether the first value. Okay. See, it will check whether the first value is greater than the second value. That means, oh, okay. So we can just simply go here. So it will check first value is greater than the second value. If my first value is greater than the second value, that means the condition is false. Oh, do we have shorter here or less? Okay, we can just use less, not a big deal. We have short, greater as well, equals as well, less as well. Check whether the first value less than the second value. Okay, we can just use less. That was a quick check. That was, I think, good check. Okay, now let's quickly debug it. And I know this was really complex, and by the way, these kinds of solutions requires like take time, and this can just consume your whole, let's say, 30 minutes or 40 minutes of round 2, because in the round 2 they do not ask like so many questions. They ask 1 to 2 questions which actually test your end-to-end design plus technical skills. That is all about your technical round 2. Obviously it is not applicable to all the companies, but yeah, for most of the companies you can just expect this. Okay, and if we see any bugs, if we see any errors, we can just correct it. Don't worry, because they will not expect you, hey, you can just build the whole pipeline in one go without any errors. No, you should know how to debug, you should know how to just solve the query, because it is the rule of thumb. Whenever you just build pipelines, you need to see the result, you make changes, you see the result, you make the changes, you see the result, you make the changes. This is the rule of thumb. So do not need to worry if you just see errors. Do not feel underconfident in the interview, because being a data engineer, half of your time will just go in debugging, bro. Just accept this. By the way, our pipeline is running fine for SetVariable 1, and GetMetadata 2 is running. I think GetMetadata 2 is like inside the loop, right? Yeah. So, okay. Let's see. SetVariable 2, copy data activity 1. So now it is copying the data. Let's see it is now what is this copying. Let's see. And what is the value of SetVariable 2? The value is fine. 17. Very good. That's the value that we were just expecting, max value, because our max value is this one. Okay. Okay, perfect. Bro, if your code runs fine without any error in first go, that adds just kidding, bro. Basically, it's all about your confidence that you carry in the interviews. If you see errors and if you have that confidence, interviewer cannot say anything, trust me. Okay, interviewer cannot say anything. Just tell him, bro, manager, this is not your project manager thing, this is a development thing, we need to just test, we need to just debug it. By the way, I am really excited to see the results. Let me just go to the destination, and let me just go to row and gold, and let me just click on refresh. So by the way, it has just copied, maybe I don't know if it has copied. Yeah, so if you just see, it has just rewritten the file. You will say, Anshlama, don't make a fool of us. I'm not making a fool of you. See the timestamps. One is 317, and this file was already there if you remember. And I can just prove my pipelines for one more time. I can simply delete both the files, and this time you will just see one file. Okay, let me just click on debug for one more time. And I know this is a complex design, complex solution, but you should feel happy, right? You are learning complex things. Very good. So let me just click on refresh. Yeah, it will just take few more seconds, and I hope now you have understood the whole flow, like what is happening and why this pipeline was also necessary, to see the format of time. What is the format of time? Because we need to provide format in such a format that Azure understands. Okay, what do I mean? So first of all, you just fetch all the file names in GetMetadata 1, all the file names. Okay, then you fetch the GetMetadata 2 of each file. So let's say for first file, you got this value 2025 03 17 16, which is UTC time. In my scenario it is 216, but in UTC time it is UTC minus 3, because our time just changed, I think few days back. Earlier it was UTC minus 4, now it is UTC minus 3, so 3 hours behind or away, I don't know, man. Okay. I don't know, I just know it's like 2 something, that's it. So this is the time that Azure has sent to us. Plus this format is necessary. We need to pass this format to our copy data activity as well, to just provide the start from. That is why we created the variable with a default value in this format as well. Make sense? Very good. So now when we have this value, it check the if condition. If the condition is true, and what was the condition? In greater, it just checks if first value is greater than the second value. The first value was our variable. The second value was, let me show you with the example. Now I think this is the best time to just tell you the result as well. See, so first time it got the get metadata 2, and what was the value? 17 17. So this is the thing, 17 17, and this is 17 16, right? This one 17 16. So what happened? So it just took this value for, let's say, get metadata, okay, and it took 17 17, okay, and it compared the condition, and obviously the answer is true. So what it does, it will simply change the value from my default value to 17 17. See, set variable is 17 17. Now the next time again get metadata 2 happened, and this time my value is 17 16, not 17 17. That means the condition is false. So if condition is false, okay, set variable 2 will still be having 17 17 value. Why? Because condition is false. Okay, so it will not change the variable value. Then at the end it will perform copy activity, which will simply say modify date start time is 17 17. That's it. Now you will say, Anshulamba, you talked a lot, just show us the results. Okay, simply refresh it, just one file, that's it. That is gold reserves tons, and in my source, gold reserves tons was the latest file. Boom. So how was the solution? How was the solution? It was good. Very good. So let me just click on publish all. By the way, I can just delete this file, like delete this pipeline, and I can click on publish all. Okay, so now this was our scenario 1. Now let me just show you scenario 2, which is really really important. I would say more important than this one. Not really, but yeah, equally important. Let me just tell you what's that. So now let's talk about the scenario 2, and this is really really important, because this will actually, I'm so sure, like, you will just actually encounter with the similar scenarios in your interviews as well, and I'm so sure, because let me discuss the scenario first. You will get to know why. So let's say you have a source. Okay, scenario is really simple. It's really simple. Definition is really simple. Implementation is also simple, don't worry. Okay, this is a source, this is a destination. Okay, let's say your source has so many files. Okay, so many files. Okay, and in the sink you have, let's say, 2 files. So now you want to create a pipeline in such a way that will migrate only those files which are not available in the sink. Got it? Let me just redefine it. You just want to fetch all those files which are not present on the sync side. That's it. Okay, how we need to perform? So bro, if you have understood the previous scenario, this scenario should be very much clear to you, and you would have already created something in your mind already. So let me just tell you how you want to proceed with it. So what we will do, we know that we have a source and we have a sync folder. Okay, this folder, we will simply perform something called as get metadata activity on the source side and on the sync side as well, right? Makes sense. Then we will have an array. Yes, we will have an array. Then we can simply compare this array with this one. Okay, and if we see any of the file which are not there on the source side, then we can simply say, hey, just copy this file. Okay, so now let's talk about the design. So how we can proceed, basically there are two design. Okay, you need to pick whichever you want to build, or if you are like enthusiast, you can just follow both. Okay, obviously in this video we'll just cover one. Okay, design number one, what we will do, we will simply perform get metadata on this. Okay, metadata on this one on the source side. Okay, then we will simply perform get metadata on the sync side. Okay, okay, then I will simply use something called as filter. Okay, so filter activity is basically, as the name suggests, it takes an array. Okay, it takes an array similar to loop. Okay, it takes an array, then we define a condition. Okay, and if that condition is true, it will filter those records, or let's say filter that array based on the condition. Simple. And condition will be, let's say, technically speaking, we'll simply use a function called contains. Okay, in which we will simply say, hey, if any particular array, let's say, first of all, in the filter array, just tell me one thing, which array we need to feed, get metadata of source side or sync side. You have 3 seconds, just think. So the answer is, the answer is, so obviously we need to compare between source and sync. Okay, and you need to see, hey, which file is not present in the source. So our source is the repository. Source is our repository. Make sense? So which array you want to feed here, that is the question, and that will just solve 90% of the solution, trust me. So the thing is, let's say on the get metadata side, you have two files. Okay, on the source side you have 1, 2, 3, 4 files. Okay, so now you're just copying from source, obviously, right? So what you will be filtering out, obviously source, bro, obviously source, obviously source. So you will feed this particular array, this one, this is source, so you will feed your source array to this filter, all the 4, all the 5, all the 10 files, all the files. Okay, then that filter activity, what it does, it basically uses the same thing, item, that for loops uses. So we will just compare each file. We will simply say, hey, if contains that particular file, that item, in what, in this particular array, in the sync side. If yes, then don't do anything. If no, then pass that array further, because we just want to copy only those files which are not there, which are not there. So this is approach number one, and we will be just using this approach. What is the approach number two? So approach number two is a little bit lengthy, but it is simplified. You will have get metadata on both the side, source and sync. Okay, source and sync. Basically this particular solution, this one, is like you're manually creating that filter step. Yeah, that's it. Then what we'll do, we will simply create for each activity. Okay, and we will pass this array source to this activity, same way we passed it to filter, same. Then we will simply compare at the rate item, item means each file, if that file exists in this particular array, that's it. And again, if it is true, then copy, if not, then not. So we are just manually creating that step. Okay, concept or fundamental is same, design is same, but approach is different. So whatever approach you like, just follow that. I will simply use filter approach, and you can also follow both the approaches just for your fun. Just try to create it, bro. Why you are just relying on only one approach? Okay, so let's create a new pipeline. Okay, and obviously we will simply say uh source sync match. Nice name. Okay, so first of all, I will simply perform get metadata. And what is the source and filter? We already have, right? So this is our source, and in this folder we have two files, and in the destination we just have one file. So we just want to copy the other file which is missing. Okay, so source, and I will rename it as get source. Okay, then in the settings I will simply pick ds folder level. By the way, just ignore ds test, I was just testing something, so just ignore this. We just have two data sets. So ds param folder level, so simply pick this one and provide the folder name source, and then raw gold data. Raw gold data, yeah, perfect, perfect. Then what we need to pick? Obviously child items, obviously. Then same way we will simply copy it and paste it here, and I will simply say get sync. Okay, then settings, this time I'll simply say destination. Perfect, and obviously folder is same. So now we have two arrays, right? I will simply use now filter. Okay, filter activity. So I will call it as filter missing. Okay, so now this filter, click on settings. Obviously, first of all, connect it, connect both the activities. Then simply say items. What will be my items? As I just mentioned, source. Okay, simply say source. Get source, get source. Where is get source? Yeah, get source dot child items, or let's say, yeah, dot child items. Perfect, perfect. Then what is the condition? What is the condition? The condition is add dynamic content. First of all, condition is item dot name. Okay, in that array. What is the array? The array is get sync. Get sync array. It should be in this particular array. Right? Right. Okay. So now how we can just perform the, or let's say how we can just build the expression builder. That is the crucial step of this whole solution, because we already have items. Okay, we have name of this particular thing. Now we need to find, or let's say now we need to compare that particular file name of this array, and we need to say, hey, if if that particular item is in this thing or not. How we can just do that? So in order to just fill the condition, so the thing is, you know that in the items, what will be the items? Items will be the whole array. Let's say this is the array. Let me just draw it nicely. So let's say this is the array, and within this we have multiple dictionaries, like one, two. Obviously in our case, like we just have two dictionaries, and each dictionary tells us like file name and type, file name and type. So every time when we just say item, so every time we say item, we are referring to the whole dictionary. Okay, so what we can do, if the array of this whole sync has our dictionary, that means we are using a function called contains, as I just mentioned before as well. So in that particular thing, we will simply say, hey, this is your array, you have multiple dictionaries, but do you have this dictionary? Do you have this item in your array? And item is like both name and type, name and type, name and type. If you have, then it's fine. If you do not have, then just pass this array to the further activity so that we can actually perform the copy data. Okay, so I'll simply say condition will be let's say at the rate contains, and here we will simply say the array that we are going to compare, like in which array we want to say, hey, it is contained. We will simply say activity outputs, and get sync. Where's get sync? Yeah, perfect. Get sync dot child items, and then we will simply say item. Make sure we do not need to say item dot name. No, because if we say item dot name, how we can compare one name with the whole dictionary? We need to compare dictionary with dictionary, right? So this particular array will be having dictionaries, right? So here, instead of using item dot name, we need to simply say item, so that we can also compare dictionary, and we can say, hey, if this exists, it's fine. If not, just tell us. So this is the thing. And one more thing, we need to use not, because obviously we are saying not contained, not contained. Okay, then simply say okay. So now what this filter activity will do, it will just cut down those dictionaries which are not, which are already there in the sync. So now we can simply use for each activity. Why? Because now this for each activity will take the output of this one. Okay, so let me just say settings and sequential, and items will be filter activity output. So this array will be used, and then within this you will simply perform copy activity like this, and your copy activity obviously will say, hey, just tell me the file. We will simply say, hey, the file name is obviously container source, folder is raw gold data, and what will be the file name? File name will be simple item dot name, because now this time we are actually saying, hey, this is a dictionary, but we need to get the item name, because only those dictionaries will be coming which are filtered. Okay, simply say okay. Basically the only difference between this solution and the solution that I discussed before is like, we are not using here if condition, because I just showed you both the ways, either using filter condition, either using if condition. In both the things, we just need to make sure that if condition, that if contains the whole array with that item array, like array with that dictionary, that's it. This is the condition. Okay, and on the sync side, I will simply pick the same data set, and I'll simply say destination. Okay, p folder, I can simply pick same raw data folder, raw data folder. Yeah, no, raw gold data. Yeah, and then file name, obviously you can simply pick item dot file name. Perfect. So this time it will simply perform copy activity on top of these data. Let me just click on run and let's see if we have any errors. And if we have any errors, we will simply tackle it. So this was all about your comparing source with sync, basically comparing two arrays. And obviously we'll just keep, let's run this. Let me just, then I will just summarize this whole solution within just few seconds. And obviously in this video, like, I'm covering the detailed scenarios which test your design skills as well. These are not like quick scenarios. You will say, hey, we can see one failure. Okay, it's fine. Okay, what's the failure? The function length expects its parameter to be an array or a string. The provided value is of type object. The function length, we are not using length function. We are not using length function. Okay, activity dot filter missing. Okay, dot output. Okay. I think I know the issue. I think so. So basically, let me just click on deactivate, and let me just show you the output first, because I know, because we need to see what exactly we need to put. Did you get it? This is the filter activity, right? We need to just say, hey, use the output of this particular activity and use it in your loop. But do we actually know the keyword that we need to use? No, right? So that's why I'm just rerunning it, and I will just show you the output of this filter activity. And I'm so sure that it will use a word, or let's say key called value. I'm not sure. I will just show you. So filter missing. See, I knew it. We need to say output dot value, because this is the array. This is the array value. We will simply say, hey, just take activity dot output dot value. That's it. That's it, bro. And then just activate it. Let me just debug it. So this time, let me just explain quickly. So this is one array. Okay, this is second array. Okay, now we need to compare the like array of like two different arrays. How we can just do that? Simply use your brain. We will keep one array which has like all the files from where we need to just find everything. Okay, that is our source side, right? So we will just provide this source array to our filter condition. Okay, all the file names. Then what we will do in this filter condition, it behaves like a loop in which it picks each and every entity one by one. So in that particular array, it will pick all the file names, but not file names, dictionaries, dictionaries, and it will be referred to as item because it is a part of loop, right? Item. Now each item will be compared with the whole array of sync side. See, whole array of sync side. If this item is contained, that's why we use the function called contains. If this item is contained in this particular array, so we use the function called contains, and then we put the full array in which we need to see and item. An item is just a dictionary, so it will simply say, hey, if this item is there in that particular array, if not, then just filter them out. That's it. And rest of the stuff you already know using for loop and copy activity. That's it. So I hope that you are taking notes, bro. I hope. Okay, so this was all about this, and I think it ran fine. And let me just test it. Let me just refresh it. So I should see the second file as well this time. Let me just say, yeah, perfect. See, this file came at 412 and this was not updated because we just fetched the gold demand sector.csv. Perfect. This was our scenario 2. Let me just show you scenario number 3 right now. So scenario number 3, and this is a very quick, and it will just check your, let's say, IQ, plus you can say how quickly you can just think about the solution. And this solution is, I know, very small, but it will be aligned with so many small solutions. So the thing is, the solution is, let's say you have so many files in the source, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, and in the sync you just need to bring only, let's say, files which are not older than 24 hours. You just want fresh files which were dumped within 24 hours. Make sense? Like you will just bring only those files which are submitted within 24 hours. That's it. That's it. How you can just perform this scenario? How? The root of this particular solution is very simple, and then very simple. How we can just do that? So first of all, we will simply say get metadata. Anjalamba, so many get metadata. Yeah, bro. Get metadata is really important. So we will simply apply get metadata activity on top of our folder. Okay, but this time we will not get information of all the files. No, we have something called as start time and end time. Yes, we have start time and end time here as well. So we have start time and end time in get metadata. So in the start time, we will simply say, hey, because obviously we need to provide the date, right? And we want dynamic date. Why? Because obviously I can just select the date from the calendar there. But what if I want to run my pipeline tomorrow as well? Then it will just bring the file for 2 days, right? But I want to just get my files for 24 hours. Then I will simply say, hey, UTC now. UTC now is the function that we use that gives us the current value, current time, minus 24 hours. Simple. We will simply say this. But there is a way to just say this to your expression builder. You cannot say it like this. We will simply say add days function. We will add time. Anshulama, why are you just adding time? I'm not adding any time. So what? I will simply say add days, UTC now. I'll simply say -1. -1 means I'm just adding -1. That means I'm subtracting. Obviously, we have sub days as well, but add days is the standard function that we use. Okay. So I will simply say add days -1. Now the brother of this scenario is like you only want those files, let's say, which are 7 days old. Okay, which are just 7 days old. You do not want fresh files, you want older files. So the same stuff, you will be doing, but instead of putting start time, this time you will put end time. Okay, makes sense? Because you just want files till 7 days. So you'll simply say add days UTC now, comma -7. That's it. Sorted. Let me just quickly show you how you can just perform this in Data Factory. So I'll simply create new pipeline and I will simply say fresh files. Ansh Lamba, cool names. Yeah, I know. So what I will do, I will simply say get metadata, very popular activity. Okay, and the settings, I will simply say dataset, and dataset will be obviously be I will pick till folder level. Okay, container will be source, and folder will be, let's say, raw gold data. Okay, then you can see start time and end time. So in the start time, obviously I can pick the calendar or timer, but I will pick the pink. I will pick the dynamic content. I'll simply say, hey, at the rate add days. Okay, I will simply say UTC now -1. Perfect, right? I just need to put braces. Perfect. Click OK. That's it. And I can simply run this file. Obviously, what metadata I want? I want child items. Okay. So all the files which are submitted within 24 hours, I will get it. Obviously, in my scenario, all are submitted within 24 hours. But you can obviously check this out after running this pipeline. Let's say after 48 hours, after 72 hours, it will work. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay. I can see the result. Perfect. Perfect. So this was very quick one, but obviously now you can just connect your for each activity, obviously, right? Now you know, and then just perform the copy activity on top of those files. You know that, right? So this was our scenario 3. I know this was a quick one, but you need to keep this in mind because this is related to date and timing, so it is really important. Let's see which is our scenario number 4. So we have scenario 4, and this again is directly linked to the previous scenario, but it will just test your intellect. And I have just put this scenario so that you can also practice, and I will just also show you, don't worry. So the scenario is very simple and very linked to the previous one. You need to delete all the files that are older than, let's say, 7 days, or because in our scenario our all the files are younger than 7 days, so I will simply say are not older than 7 days. Just a scenario, bro, just a scenario. Let's say within this week we just got the rubbish data, so we just want to delete all the files that are not older than 7 days. How you can just do that? We have 2 scenarios to perform it, and let me just tell you both of it, and obviously again we will pick one in this video, and the second one you can just pick it on your own and just practice on your own. So the thing is, what you will do, scenario 4, approach 1. Approach is, we will apply get metadata, okay, on whole folder, on the whole folder, to get the file names, all the file, right? File 1, file 2, file 3, okay, all the files. Then what we will do, we will create a variable, okay, variable temp, okay, and we will define a date. Let's say we will simply say UTC now, same thing, add days, okay, UTC now, and then -7. Okay, we will simply say, hey, this is our date. Then we will simply pass this output to our for each, okay, for each activity, and within that we will create an if condition, okay, if condition, and we will simply match the condition if this file last modified is matching, or let's say because this will just return you the date which is now -7. Okay, that means let's say today is 31, so it will simply return 24. Okay, and this file will return, let's say, today's date. So if this value is greater than this one, that means delete that particular file, otherwise do not do anything, right? This is approach number one, and you'll be following this one. Why? Because whenever you are performing, let's say, these kinds of solutions in the production, or let's say, yeah, in the real world, in the production, let's say you changed your condition. Let's say you want to delete all the files which are greater than 10 days. So instead of changing anything in your pipeline, you will simply change the variable, and you can simply run the pipeline in the production without any kind of deployment. Makes sense? Because obviously when you just run the pipeline in the production, you have the leverage to provide the parameters, right? So you can simply provide this value through a parameter, and you can simply run this instead of creating any kind of change, instead of creating any kind of deployment from dev to test to prod. No, 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 no. So that is why we're gonna cover this solution using this way. Okay, the other way is really simple, but yeah, you need to just make some changes in the pipeline every time. So what you will do, we will simply say get metadata, and we will simply pick start time and end time, and end time should be your UTC now -7, right? So all the files will be coming here which are new, obviously. End time, oh no, here, yeah, UTC now -7. So it will just pick all the latest files, okay, or whatever you want to do. Like, we are just deleting all the files which are older than XYZ days. So you will just get all the data, like all the details here. Then you can pass this information to for loop. Okay, then within that you can simply apply delete. There's no need to apply if condition, because this condition is already met here. By the way, we can also perform this thing using, let's say, production approach, because instead of hard coding this value, we can simply pass a variable. That is another alternative that we can also do. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's do it, or let's do it through variable web. I know that is a long way, but you will just learn a lot of things with that, because when you just merge different activities, you actually learn a lot, right? Okay, so let's develop this solution, and we'll simply say new pipeline, and this time we'll simply name it as, let's say, delete files. Okay, so let's create a scenario, like exact scenario. I want to delete all the files which are not older than 7 days, okay, which are uploaded within the last 7 days. Perfect. Okay, so let me just perform get metadata on top of my folder, and folder level, I will be quickly doing this because now you know the fundamentals. Okay, source folder is raw gold data. Perfect. I want child items. So for approach 2, you just need start time or end time. Just tell me what you will fill, because you just want those files which are younger than, let's say, which are uploaded within 7 days. So start time should be UTC now -7. So you will get all the files which are uploaded after that. That's it. This is approach that you can follow. Okay. By the way, we can just follow this approach as well. Not a big deal, because we know that, okay, we can just provide this value like this, and we can simply provide value like here. So whatever. So this is a simpler way. You can just try it on your own, and I hope you will just succeed. Okay. So now these are all the files, and we need to create a variable. Variable will be, let's say, last 7 days. Last 7 days, and I will simply call it as, oh, I cannot provide the value, like I cannot use dynamic content, so I have to create parameter. So I will simply say p last 7 days. Okay, and this will be my string. Makes sense? So we can actually delete this variable because it is of no use. Okay, simply delete it. Okay, now what we need to do, obviously we need to create a for each. Okay, very good. And then we will simply connect it, and settings sequential, and dynamic content will be, let's say, get metadata output 1 dot child items. Perfect. Okay, very good. So now we will be having all the files one by one. Simply use if condition. Very good. Now this is important. What will be the expression? The expression will be this. We will simply say greater, at the rate greater, if my last modified date, that means item dot oh wait, you got it. If you just, before if condition we need to apply get metadata again, right, to get the last modified date, right? Very good, if you just got it. So dataset till file level and source raw gold data and value will be item dot name, right? Very good. Very good. Okay, connect it. Simple if condition. Now I want greater last modified item dot, or let's say the output of this one, the get metadata one, get metadata 2 dot last modified, okay, greater than what? Now this is the thing. So now we need to perform this activity in such a way so that we can change the values in the production without any hustle, right? So we'll simply say add days, okay, add days, are you sure? Yeah, add days, okay. Then we need to say UTC now, okay, -7. One more base. Now you will say, hey Ansh Lamba, you have hard coded -7. What if you want to perform 10 days in the production, 30 days in the production, or let's say 6 days, 4 days, 2 days, 3 days? You said that you will be just performing it dynamically. Yeah, I said it. So what? I will do it. Don't worry. So instead of just doing this thing, instead of -7, what I will do, I will simply replace minus, okay, and I will simply call a parameter p last 7 days. That's it. So the moment I call this, it will simply say, hey, minus, and then this thing. And for that, I need to perform these curly braces. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Curly braces, and then maybe add the rate for one more time. Why? Because this will be treated as a string, and this is already saying, hey, this is a minus sign, and why you are just doing all these things. So this is the thing that we need to say. Or we can do one more thing. We can simply call it as like -7 there in the string as well. So it will simply say, hey, -7. So it's all up to us how we want to proceed with this. And obviously we need to just test it. Okay. So now we are seeing one expression error. So I think we should just remove this and this. My only concern is, okay, this will return 7. That's fine, because I will just provide that parameter in the runtime. What do I need to do with this minus sign? Why it is throwing an error? Unrecognized expression. Okay. So in this particular scenario, either I can just use sub days instead of add days, and I can remove minus sign. Sub days. Do we have sub days? No. Okay, then I will simply use add days, and I will simply provide minus sign there in the runtime. Not a big deal. Okay, it is throwing an error without this as well. Add days does not have an overload that supports the arguments given. String. Okay. So, oh, I see. Let me just copy it because I don't want to rewrite it again. So I will simply go to my parameter, okay, and make it as integer. Now it should just run fine. Go to settings, go inside this, if condition, expression is there, it is saved. So see, now it is working fine. I can also see minus sign here. Why? Because obviously minus sign cannot be used. Or I can simply say minus sign there in the parameter. So I'll simply say -7. Make sense? Yeah. And then I can come here, and then in the if condition, then this is the condition. Yeah. We will simply test it. Don't worry. We'll simply test it because that's how we just debug the pipeline. This is a new solution. That's what I like to challenge myself. So this is a solution that I didn't follow this approach, but I knew like this can be done like this as well. So let's see. Let's see. Okay, click on OK. And if the condition is true, we want to delete the file, right? So we'll simply go inside if conditions true condition, simply say delete. Yeah, we have delete activity as well. And within this, simply pick source, and dataset will be file level. Okay. And source, then folder, and folder is obviously raw gold data, and then file will be item dot at the rate item dot name. Okay, click on OK. Logging settings, we do not need to enable logging because we simply need to delete the file. Let's see if it works. If we see any errors, we will simply debug it. Not a big deal. Okay, let me just click on, oh, go inside this. One thing is missing. Click on this, and then field list is obviously last modified. Perfect. Simply click on debug, and this is a minus sign, -7 value. So every time you will run this pipeline, even in production, you can simply change the value from here. Let's say -10, and click on OK. This way, you do not need to make any changes in the code, in the pipeline, in the deployment. No, just make the changes in the parameter. That's it. That's it. But I'm not sure like if it will work in one go. Obviously, it should work, not in one go, but yeah, we can just debug the errors if we see any. Not a big deal, not a big deal, not a big deal. I hope that these real-time scenarios are challenging, and I hope you are learning a lot about design as well. It's not just about, hey, what should we do if you want to just run a loop? Answer is for each activity. Wow. No, no. The level is really, really high. And I'm not saying like these questions are like very new. No, but I am trying my best to make you understand how to approach using different approaches. Make sense? So that you can actually think, because if you would have encountered with a question that you have not solved before, that you have not designed before, you will feel like, hey, I cannot do this. But by the way, it is green. We will just make it like we will just look at it later on. Let me just complete. But the moment you understand different approaches, you can easily think, bro, in the interviews. You can easily think, hey, I can just do it like this as well. That is the difference. That is a difference. That is a difference that you will bring, right? Okay, so everything is fine. So let me see. Oh, our both the activities worked fine, by the way. So that means that worked, because obviously it should work. Integer contains the minus values as well. So it worked fine. Very good, very good, very good. So our both the files should be deleted, as you know, right? Like, let me just check. So in the source, I should not see any file in the folder container. Perfect. Boom. Headshot. See, one go. This was a new solution. I was just testing it. So it worked fine. Boom, boom. It worked fine. So data engineering is a domain in which there can be like thousands of approaches to do one thing, but you need to pick one approach which can be like easily deployed, which can be easily changed, which can be easily scaled, which can be easily modified. So you need to pick that solution. You need to pick that solution. And the moment you start thinking about different approaches, you will get that solution. Because in the interview, let's say you just told about one solution. Interviewer will say, hey, how you will just modify it? Let's say I want to run the pipeline tomorrow again. Will you make the deployment again? At that time, you will feel like, oh, I picked the wrong solution. So you need to just prepare your brain in such a way that, hey, just ask me a question. I will just give you the best possible solution. If not, I will make to like I will try to make some tweaks at the point. Because you will simply say, hey, you didn't tell me that you want to do that thing as well. If you want to do that thing, I can just simply make these changes and I can just simply make these tweaks. That's it. You should have that confidence. You should have that skill, bro. I'm not saying like that you should be the best developer. I'm not saying that I am the best developer, best data engineer, or let's say the most skilled data engineer. It's not about that. It's not about that. It was never about that. There are like millions of developers, bro. Millions. Okay? It was never about that, of being like the best data engineer. No. It was all about, that's a secret thing. Okay, so that was our scenario number 4. So let's see what we have in the scenario number 5. Okay, let's see. For that, I will first click on publish all because I want to save my hard work. And publishing error, what's that, bro? Item for each is required. In which it is required? In which did we make any changes? Did we let me just click on publish all. For each one should have at least one activity. Which one, bro? Which one? Oh, what? Oh, I got it. Remember, I was just explaining one solution to you. So you just need to delete it because obviously I was just explaining some extra stuff to bring some values. Okay. So let me just tell you what is the scenario number 5. Okay. So I will just make some changes here instead of pausing the video and again coming it back. So simple and sorted. Scenario number 5. It is again very, very simple. But it is like you should not skip this one. That's why I wanted to add this particular solution. So the scenario is, let's say you have one file. So how many files do you have within this particular folder? How you can just get that? How? You will simply say, hey, just run the get metadata activity. Hey, we do not have this feature available to tell us the number of files. Really? Yeah. I don't know why they should provide it, but they haven't provided it. Oh, so how we can just do that? So in order to do that, we'll use our brain. Okay. And how? So the thing is, we will we know we we know that we can get the array of all the files. Okay, we can simply use a function called length, in which we just need to define what array we need to use, and it will just return the length of the array. That's it. That is the number of files, right? That are the number of files. Simple. Okay, let's do it quickly. Oops, my behind the scenes. So simply create a pipeline. Okay, and let me just create a get metadata activity and click on settings till folder level. Okay, container is source, folder is raw gold data, field list is, see, we do not have that number of items. Simply pick child items, and then what you need to do, simply create a variable. Okay, or simply say var, and you can say string or maybe integer as well. Let's pick integer. Okay, then bring set variable activity here and simply connect it. Okay, simply connect it, and then I'll simply say variable, and what will be the output, or let's say value of it, get metadata dot child items and length of this. Okay, simple. Click on OK and debug, and it should run fine. It will simply give you the length. It will simply give you the length. So we have covered 5 scenarios so far, and sixth one is really, really special. I will just tell you why. Why? Oh, what is the value? So value is this, value is 0. Why? Why, bro? Oh, obviously, because we have 0 files. Ha! That means it is running fine. So we'll simply say destination. Okay, we'll simply say destination, and let's run it for one more time. For one more time. Let me make some coffee. Bro, your bro is, forget about it. Don't worry. Don't worry, bro. Don't worry. So, perfect. Values too. Okay, got it. Makes sense. So now let me just make some coffee. Okay, and then I will just be back, and then I will just talk about scenario number 6. And it is really, really an amazing scenario. And it is a kind of, you can say, new scenario, not a new scenario, but nowadays we are using these kinds of scenarios a lot because of big data, because of different profiles, because of so many schema changes. So let's talk about that as well. Let's see. So, bro, scenario 6. Are you prepared? So it's really a tricky one. Why? So what I'm eating? I'm eating seeds, 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 pumpkin seeds with coffee, black coffee. So focus. Okay. So the scenario is very, very good. So let's say this is your folder. Okay. And in this folder, you have multiple files. Let's say file 1, and let's say you have file 2. Okay. This is your folder, source folder. You need to copy these files to a destination. This is your scenario. Ansh Lamba, bro, I know that you're a little down, but why you are poking us? No, I'm not poking you. So the thing is, I know it is really simple. It looks like it's simple, but let me just add some twist. So the twist is, this is source folder, this is sync folder. You need to copy these files. You will say, hey, we have already done this. What's the big deal? But you didn't use schema enforcement on the files. Okay. You need to perform schema enforcement on this file and this file, both, and both have different schemas. Oh, oh, wait, whoa, wait. So you want us to copy this data using one copy activity, and you want to enforce the schema as well for both the files. What are you talking, man? So this is the thing, bro. So now we will be leveraging something called as dynamic schema mapping. Whoa, what's that? I know this is a new term. This is not a new term, but this is the thing that we are commonly using nowadays. Okay, in which what we do, we simply define the schema in the form of code. Okay, for one file. Okay, we create a parameter for that. Then we create the schema in the form of code for other file as well. Okay, okay, okay. And let me just show you how we want to achieve this, because this is really, really tricky. And just be focused, because in this one we need to just copy some codes. Okay, by the way, I just bought this, my coffee mug, and it's really, really cool. And I thought it was really, really cheap, but that price tag was of some other tumbler. And when I just actually checked out, I was like, what? Then again, like, I just took it. This is really nice. There's no handle, and there's like small cute cup, and this is the opener, like small gap from where we can just sip. Okay, so Oh, my personal thing. Oof, oof, oof. So let's create the pipeline. Okay, let's create the pipeline, and I will call it as dynamic mapping, dynamic map. Perfect. Just follow. Just follow. You will learn a lot in this particular scenario. Trust me. So first of all, obviously we know the scenario. In source, we do not have anything. In destination, we have, so it will be a reverse ETL. We will be using our destination as our source and source as a destination. Okay. So I'll simply use copy activity. Okay. Very good. So in the source, obviously I will simply pick till file level. Okay. And this will be my destination. And folder will be raw gold data. Okay. And file name will be, let's pick one file now because I want to show you something. Okay. Okay. Someone was saying my voice is really irritating. Really, bro? Really? By the way, God bless you. So let's say this is a file. Okay. And let me just put this here. Sorted. And on the sync side, obviously same database like dataset. And this will be source. Folder will be raw gold data. And file name will be, let's say this one. Okay. Now in the mapping, when we just go to the mapping, earlier we were not enforcing the schema, so it was automatically detecting the mapping, but now we want to enforce the schema. Why? Because we do not want any other column to be inserted in our files, any other column. Okay, so this is now hard coded. Makes sense. Now if I just perform copy activity, it will simply perform the copy activity. But if I want to parameterize this copy activity, can I do that? Answer is no. Why? Because bro, the schema here is just for that particular file, not for the other file. Okay, so for this particular scenario, what we need to do, we will leverage something called as mapping, dynamic mapping. Okay. Okay, so simply click on this code button, click on this. So this is the code for this whole activity, for this whole copy activity. Scroll down, you will find something called as translator. See, so this is the activity, or let's say this is the dictionary that is for our use, because translator simply holds all the mappings. See, type, tabular translator, and mappings are these ones. Okay. Okay. So what I need to do, I simply need to copy this whole dictionary from here. And I will, I will simply copy the source dictionary. I think this for this area. Yeah. Simply see till where I am copying this. Okay. So obviously you need to first of all cover the list. Okay. See this one, and this is this particular dictionary, and then you have this list, and let me show you, this list is for this mappings. See this mappings, where is that list, bro? This is a little bit tricky. Let me show you the mappings. So let me just copy it from scratch. So this is translator. Okay, copy it, and within this dictionary, this is the key. First key, this is the value. Second key, this is the value in the form of list. In the form of list. Very good. Simply copy. Okay, and this is the list that it is showing that, oh, hey, it is just copied till here. Then within that, we have third key, which is type conversion. We have another key, then we have another key, then we have this key, and then we have this key as well. See, till this dictionary. So this is our dictionary that we want to copy. Are you getting my point? Let me just make it clear. So this is the, I know this is tricky, but you need to understand this. So this is a list, and just see where this list is being closed. See, it is not being closed till here. So this is the sync of this. This is the dictionary ending and beginning. See, if you just closely observe, this is the beginning of this whole source and sync, and this is the ending. See, perfect. This is the beginning of this source and ending of source, beginning of sync, ending of sync. This is the ending of that list, which is called mappings, and then there is another key, another key, another key, and this key is again in the form of dictionary. So dictionary opening, dictionary closing, okay, and then this is the dictionary that we want to pick. Okay, so let me just start it for one more time. So simply start from translator and simply pick till here. That's it, till here. Why? Because this dictionary is closing here and this is the parent dictionary that we are copying. And look at the line as well, it will simply go till our dictionary. See, translator, that's it. It is tricky, but this is the whole point of doing it. Simply copy it and you can simply save it somewhere. So where we will be saving it? We will saving it in a parameter. Simply click on close. Remember to copy it. I have simply copied it. So now we will simply create a parameter, and this was the file for gold reserves. We will simply create a parameter called p reserves. Okay, and now this is the thing. What will be the data type of this particular code? This is not a string. This is not an integer. This is object type, which is JSON type. Make sense? You can basically save it in string format as well, but then you need to perform a function called @JSON, and then you will pass your parameter. But if you just write here object type, then you simply need to pick your parameter. That's it. You do not need to tell, hey, this is an object type, because JSON is an object type. Okay, I will simply provide default value, paste it here. Simple, 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 simple. Okay, now let me just show you how it will work. Go to mapping, scroll down, click on add dynamic content, then put here this variable. That's it. Simply click on debug. Simply click on debug, it will work. Let's see, like if we do not have any minor bugs, but it should work fine. I will not say that I'm hungry. Then you will say, hey Anshulamba, eat something. I already finished my food, so I don't have anything to eat now. Hmm, it worked fine. Okay, and let me show you the glasses and the input of this file. And in the input of this file, you will see the parameter is this. See, mapping is this. That means it is running fine. Translator is this dictionary. Okay, and you can see the file as well, bro. Go to source. This is the file, and just go to edit, and you will see it is absolutely fine. See. So now, tell me one thing. This is fine. Okay, and now you will say, if we want to just get the mapping of different file, how we can get it? Simply select another file and copy this and paste it here. Go to sync, paste it here, go to mapping, and instead of dynamic mapping, delete it, import schemas, because we want to get the code for it as well. Okay, so this has a different code, obviously. Simply go to code and just get the code for translator. So where is the translator? Where is the translator, bro? Here. So just grab it till here. That's it. That's it. Because this is a dictionary opening, closing, and this is the parent dictionary. That's it. Copy it and create a parameter and simply say p. What was the name of the file? Demand. Okay. Again, object type. Paste it here. Now the best thing is, Ansh Lamba, how we can just perform copy activity one time and can just pass the mapping like in one go. That is the whole point, right? So we have a solution for it. In the dynamic content, we will use an if condition. Okay, yeah, we will use an if condition. And how we need to use it? First of all, obviously we need to get the file names. Okay, so we will perform an if condition based on the file name. We will simply say if that file name contains, let's say, demand in the file name, then just perform that particular mapping. Otherwise, perform the other mapping. Can we do it? Yes, you can do it. Let me just show you the demo of it. Then I will just show you the end-to-end solution, because you will feel, hey, what do you have built? So go here, go to mappings and click on add dynamic content. Simply say at the rate contains contains, and this time you can simply say file name, and file name is, let's say, this one. Okay, so we are copying, I think, this one, demand sector. Yeah, perfect. So this is the file name. Okay, and I think we do not need to add double braces, I think so. Yeah, so this is the file name. And do we have do we have name called demand in this? Do we have? Let me just add double quotes, because it will say, hey, you are just doing this. So if it says contains, okay, if it says contains, this is the array, this is a string. By the way, string is also an array. Okay, if you do not know, string is also an array. We will simply say if it contains in this particular array this word, then perform one thing, otherwise the second thing. So we'll simply say if, okay, if contains this thing, if this is true, okay, then simply perform the mapping for p demand. Okay, otherwise perform for reserves. Makes sense? It is fine, but I don't know why it is throwing this double quotes error. Double quote string is not allowed. Okay, I can simply use single quote as per you say, bro. Yeah, perfect. Now you will simply say, hey, you are hard coding it. I know. I will simply provide this value through a loop. For now, I'm just showing you that this works like this. Okay, so it is saying if this file name contains this word demand, then perform demand mapping, otherwise perform reserves mapping. Make sense? Simple if condition that you would have used in your Excel as well. Simple, that's it. So one key point to note, we can perform contains function with array, obviously, and with with string as well. Why with string as well? Because string is also an array. It behaves like an array. Okay, so when we say, hey, this word is contains in like in this one, then it simply search for this word in this one. So you can perform contains like this as well. Okay, simply say okay, and then just click on debug. Let's see if it works, because obviously we do not have this file in the source. If it works, then obviously we can build our end-to-end solution, and you already know how to build that. One guy was saying, okay, let's solve this, then we will just talk about that guy. So it is saying, the name of column index 7 is empty. Make sure column name is specified in the header row. Oh, we have column mismatch. How it can be possible? The name of column index 7. Index 7. Do we have that particular index? Demand sector.csv. Okay, let me just copy this and let me just go here, p demand, right? Let me just go to JSON formatter. Hmm. So type is this, mapping is this. Mhm. Average prop 6. Where's index 7? Where? Where? Where's that? Where is that index 7, bro? Mapping is fine, by the way. Let me just see what's the error. Hmm. If contains demand. Okay, let me just copy and paste it here. Okay. And let me just run it without any if condition. Let me say p demand and let's see if it works. Oops. Okay. Let's see if it works. P demand. Hmm. Okay. The name of column index 7 is empty. We do not have anything index 7, bro. Make sure column name is properly specified in the header row. Oh, I see what can happen. So maybe we have some corrupted data, or let's say we have some records which are breaking the schema. It can happen. It can happen. So let's go to the source, demand, and we click on edit. So let's see where is index 7. 1. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, what's that? Oh, see, it is saying that there should be a name here. That makes sense. Why we do not have any kind of name? And if you observe, um, values are null, but still we should have a name, right? And okay, that's why I see. If you just click on mapping, um, just delete this, click on import schemas, you will see one p something. See, prop 6, prop 6. So we can simply, what is prop 6, man? What is prop 6? Hmm, that's a cool, man. That's a cool feature. Hmm, makes sense. Okay, so what we can do, we can simply provide one name here because we do not have anything there. We can simply say dummy, simply save it. Okay, and wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then I think we should create here one as well, dummy 2. Why? Because they're like two commas and there's a CSV, so comma separated values. Yeah, I think so. Let's click on save and let's import the mapping for one more time. So this was a challenge that is added in our plate. Not a big deal. So yeah, now let's copy the code. Okay, for one more time. Let's see if it works. From translator. Till here and simply copy it here in your parameter. Perfect. Now just say add dynamic content, p demand, click on OK, Click on debug and let's see if it works. If no, we can just have a look on the data side. There must be something wrong. Hmm. Flow collapse. Bro, told you, bro. Told you. Now we can simply copy it. This is our condition. Okay. Simply paste it here. Click on OK. So now what we will do, we will simply remove all the files from the source because we will just perform a real-time scenario like end-to-end solution using our for loop. Okay. And now this solution you should be able to build. Okay. So this time I will simply change it. Why? I'll just tell you why. First of all, apply GetMetadata on the destination folder. Why destination? Because it is acting as a source now. Okay. Till folder level, container is destination. Then raw goal data. Okay. Okay. Then we can simply say for each. Perfect. For each control X, expand it, connect it, and provide the values, settings, sequential items get metadata dot child items. Okay. Select child items. Why I'm just doing it very quickly because now you know how to perform these things. So perform it on your own, baby. So now just paste your copy activity here. Source is this one. Instead of hard coding it, we will simply say item dot name. Perfect. Sync as well. Add dynamic content. Item dot name. Perfect. Then on the mapping side, we will update the value. Instead of hard coding it, we will simply say item dot name. Okay. And this is same because this is one condition that is called demand. If it says demand, then obviously demand pipeline, otherwise resource pipeline. This is fine. Okay. Now it's time to just test it. Now let's run it, bro. So we have designed the solution such a way so that we can obviously run our pipelines in production without any changes because we have created the parameters, bro. See, if we have new schema, we can just update the schema. That's it. A quick question can be, let's say we have 100 of files. Will we be creating 100 parameters? Usually no. In that particular scenario, you can create a JSON file in which you will simply create one key, let's say P reserves and schema for that. Okay, code for that, like the same code that you have just pasted. Okay, then another key, then schema for that. Similarly for 100 parameters. Okay, then you can simply apply a lookup activity on top of that file, and you can simply use that particular value in your if condition. Make sense? And at that time you will be using @JSON, and I will just show you @JSON as well, don't worry. So this is fine, bro. Let's check, refresh it. Boom, boom. So we have both the files. Okay. Let's say I want to delete this file. Which one? Let's say both the files. Both the files. Yeah, both the files. Because you will be saying, hey, just show us the JSON way as well because this is really important. So what I will do, I will make both the parameters as string. Okay. Now if you want, basically this can be your interview question. Yeah. Now if you want to perform, then you will simply go to copy activity, go to mappings, and instead of directly using your parameters, you will simply use @JSON and close it, then @JSON, then close it. Basically you are converting your string function into JSON function. Obviously you do not need to use @ because this is just a function, so it's fine. Click on OK. Click on debug for one more time to see the results, and if it runs fine, then Bye bye. Oh yeah, that guy was saying you behave very unprofessionally. So if you don't know, I was born unprofessional. Okay, so just following that legacy. 3 red marks. Tuck tuck tuck. What happened? What happened? What happened? The function JSON expects its parameter to be a string. It is string, bro. The provided value is of the type object. No, we changed it. See, this is a string. Oh, I see. I see. I see. I see. So what we need to do, we will simply say add the red JSON. Okay. And then we need to also encapsulate the whole string in the single quotes. So you have one option like this. So simply add this single string. Okay. And then do this. Okay. Same thing here. Oops. And then like this. So now let's debug it, and I will just show you one more way to do it, and that is a professional way of doing it, because it is not fine you will just adding single quote. What is that, bro? By the way, you can, because obviously when you will be creating a JSON file, you need to just store the key value pair and the value will be string. So you can do this, but I will just show you one more way. So yeah, I was saying that I was born unprofessional. What is professionalism? My end goal is to make you understand the things. That's it. If you're expecting like that guy, I'll be wearing suit and I'll be like talking really, really professionally, and I will just talking to you in the accent that okay, I'm just working in XYZ company and I'm just working as a data engineer and you should just do this way. Bro, hold on. You have clicked on this video so that you can understand the concept. You can understand the ADF, right? Right? Come on, man. Come on. Okay, again, one thing to that guy. God bless you. By the way, see all the green signs. So one method is you can simply add single quotes. Okay, it should work fine. But if you do not want to do that, by the way, you can, because that is a good practice, because when you will be just using JSON file, you need to just store your values in key value pairs, right? So you can do that. One more thing, if you are not using JSON file, okay, if you are not using JSON file, then what you can do, you can simply store the value like this and go to copy data, pencil, mapping, and simply say JSON and then add one more function called string. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. String. Okay. Now it will simply convert that into string, and let's run this. So see, I'm just sharing all the possible approaches so that if interviewer asks you the question, you should be like, hey, you can do this. Interviewer will say, will just come with the follow-up question. Hey, what is this? You will say, hey, you can just do this. Interviewer will be like, how this person knows all the questions? How? And then you can say, just subscribe the Ansh Lama's YouTube channel and you will actually know everything. What if interviewers are also watching the video to just collect the questions, right? See, win-win for all. then there will be then there will be a criteria in the future. Okay, if you are certified by Ansh Lama, if you have like followed Ansh Lama's approach, okay, we can just select you. This will be a change very soon, because my purpose, my end goal is to just provide you the high level skills, deep skills. Okay, not just touching the surface. No, just digging deeper is my end goal. Okay, so bro, first of all, so sorry. Why? I know my energy level was little down today, and I already told you why. So sorry for that, but still I tried my best. Okay, and I hope that you enjoyed this session. These real time scenarios, I hope that you will just tackle in the interviews, and you will actually answer these questions. You will actually build the solutions, and you will actually land your dream roles, dream companies. And just drop a lovely comment on this video if you like this video, and if you learn a lot. Okay, just drop a lovely comment. Just, it makes me it makes me like feel so happy. Okay, so this was all about your Azure Data Factory real-time scenarios that we have. Obviously, we'll be covering lots of scenarios in the future as well, but these are the latest scenarios that are coming in the market. Okay, that are evolving in the market right now. And just click on the video that is coming on the screen right now, because this is specifically made for you based on your choice. So click on that. I will see you there, and happy learning.